Hello YouTube, this is Johnny. I thought I'd do a quick video. This is a Monday here in West Michigan. It is Monday evening. It is 6:33 in the evening. It is May the 6th, the year 2019. And I'm just going to talk about what I've read today. Now, I got up this morning around 6:30, but I didn't really feel like reading my Reformation commentary on Romans 1 through 8. And I didn't feel like reading Reformed Systematic Theology by Dr. Beakey. And so I wrote in my diary, I think I was on page 399 when I got up this morning, and I finished on page 401 today for the year 2019. But on Mondays, I volunteer at the local bookstore, the Book Nook, and nobody came in. I think I sold 4 magazines today. I think I made $2 at the library used bookstore, the Book Nook. And what I took to read was, I've been reading the last 2 days, Notebooks 1936 to 1947 by Victor Serge. This is translated from the French by Michel Abidor and Richard Greeman. And I've been reading Memoirs of a Revolutionary by Victor Serge, translated from the French by Peter Sedgwick and George Paizis. So I've been reading these when I'm not reading the Reformation commentary on Romans 1, chapter 1 through 8. And I don't know, I've been kind of out of it. I'm always reading. Yesterday was a Sunday. We got the New York Times newspaper. I read the New York Times book review. I watched booktube videos. I wrote in my diary, and but I spent a lot of time watching the birds. I spent a lot of time just thinking about the past, because my birthday's coming up and our 40th wedding anniversary on May the 19th, and so I find myself looking back at the past. But today at the Book Nook, I brought home these 2 books, and when I was at the Book Nook, I read some of this. It's kind of like a memoir, How to Write an Autobiography novel by Alexander Chee. I read a novel of his last year, The Queen of the Night, which I didn't finish. I'll show that maybe in a next video. But these are kind of like, it's a memoir, but it's also like essays. He wrote a book called Edinburgh that got a lot of attention. And then he wrote The Queen of the Night, which was okay. I talked about it in past videos when I was reading it, and I almost finished it, but I always get bogged down in something, and I didn't finish it. But I was reading this at the Book Nook. He is a gay activist, so he talks about that. He talks about, like I read here, the writing life. He talks about starting being a writer. He talks about being a gay activist. He has things like 100 things about writing a novel. So this is, I didn't pay for these. When I go to the Book Nook, I can get books, but it can't be over $2. Both of these were $1. So this is selected Cantos by Ezra Pound, very famous modernistic poetry collection. I collect things. I collect books on Ezra Pound. His kind of like this. This was bought at Shakespeare and Company. So I thought that was kind of cool that the person who bought this at the Shakespeare and Company bookstore in Paris. So that was kind of cool. As you know, I was reading last year a history of Shakespeare and Company, the bookstore. I'll show that maybe in the next video. So I got these today at the Book Nook. How to Write an Autobiographical Novel by Alexander Chee. Selected Cantos by Ezra Pound. I've been reading Notebooks, 1947 by Victor Serge. Memoirs of a Revolutionary by Victor Serge. And so I was reading those other books, like I was reading Americans Are Going to Burn in Hell by Jared Quebec. I was reading Essays, White, and I was reading something else, D.C. Boyle's book on Timothy Leary and the psychedelic movement, Outside Looking In. But I got kind of burnt out on those. So I've been reading these the last 2 days. And like I said, it's kind of spring out. And when it gets really nice out, I kind of like just get kind of daydreaming. I kind of go off into my head. And I don't know, I've been kind of a little uptight. I don't know what it is. But time goes by. It's a Monday night. My wife is off from work right now. She's off visiting her friend Pam, who turns 94 this week. I always wonder how long I'm going to live. I'm going to be 67 this August. And lately I look at myself and say, man, you're an old man. Man, you're really old. And but you just got to keep trucking on. You got to keep looking to the Lord for strength and grace just to keep up the fight of faith. So I just thought I'd check in, say hi, thank you for the comments, thank you for the new subscribers. And not much else going on. It's tulip time here in Holland, Michigan. The town is filled with tourists. Thousands and thousands of people walking around with their cameras, taking pictures of tulips. So you don't want to go anywhere. The traffic is just horrendous. So I don't go anywhere on tulip time. It usually lasts a week. I think it lasts throughout this week. There's big parades next weekend. And so I kind of lay low on tulip time. I don't go anywhere. It's just, the traffic is just horrible. And people who don't live in Holland are always, don't know the traffic. They're always lost or confused. And I just stay home. So tomorrow my wife is going to be gone all day. She's going to Kalamazoo, Michigan to meet up with old nursing friends. So probably tomorrow I'll read, I'll write, I'll watch the birds. I'll probably mow the lawn. I should mow the lawn to be a good neighbor. So we lived in this house 28 years, and I'm always amazed that we have this house. It's almost paid for. The mortgage is almost paid for. And I love this house. This afternoon I walked around the house looking at the bushes and the trees and looking at my flower garden and looking at just this little place that we live in. It just amazes me because when I was growing up, I never had a home, really. My mother was killed in an auto wreck when I was 16, and we always lived in duplexes and small little apartments, and it was always, there was never really a home. And then after my mother was killed, I just basically just was homeless up until I got married and met Carol. And when we first got married, Carol and I had a little apartment in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and then we moved to Jackson, Mississippi, where I went to seminary, student housing, and then we rented a house, and then we moved to Houston and rented a couple houses. And then we moved here to Holland, Michigan, and first we rented this house, but we rented the house to buy. The person who owned this house was an old widow, and she lived off the rent, and then when she died, we bought the house. And that was a long time ago. Our kids grew up in this house. Now they're married and having families and careers and having children, and life just keeps going by. So I hope you're having a good day, a good week. I hope you have a good reading week. Once again, I do thank you for all your comments. I like the interaction. I like hearing about what you're reading and what's going on in your life. And until next time, bye.